Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and this is a follow-up to one of the Be Your Own Boss videos. I got a message from Michael, and Michael says that he had an experience where he was part of a company, part of a startup, and he had signed some documents that when the company failed and closed, he was legally required to pay another company some money. And so, and he writes this in a tone of, hey, I was an employee. But see, here's the fact. Okay, so we all want to be somebody who owns a company and who does well in business and is well respected and everything. And I think that with any job you've probably ever had, you look at this and you say, now that I've got this figured out, I could own something like this. I could run something like this. And you may very well be right. But at the same time, do you ever get the chance? Most of us never do. Well, Michael here got a chance, and apparently, since it was a startup, and he doesn't say that he owned any of it, but what he says was that the startup failed, and that he was forced to pay a couple $1,000s to another company because of his involvement in it, which leads me to believe that he was a C-level person in the company, meaning that he was COO, CTO, CMO, CEO, one of those, because those are directors of the company. Those are people who are directly responsible for how the company proceeds, and can be, if the company does any wrongdoing, anybody, even if you're an employee, if you intentionally do wrongdoing in a company, you can be sued. You can also face criminal charges. Or if he had any ownership in it, like he had any founders' shares, or he had just a percentage on paper saying, you, Michael, you own 10% for your part. He says all he was a programmer. And he got into this anyway. So this is a lesson that I've learned the hard way. Back when I owned Shattered Crystal, I was CEO. And I owned the majority of the shares of the company, and my now ex-wife owned the rest of them. Then after we got divorced, 100% of the shares went to her. She insisted on owning the company. And so the court said she should own the company because we couldn't come up to another arrangement. Even though I personally knew that was the wrong way to go, but, what could I do? So I signed over all the shares to her, and I walked away. And I thought that this would be the end of that. Well, it wasn't, because when they defaulted on some of the money that was owed to them, or by them, then it was put through that, okay, so Marcus here, Marky Dragon, was CEO, and I signed paperwork saying that we would pay. And so a lot of times what happens is when you're signing something like this, you're signing as a personal guarantor. And that's in this case, that's what I did. And so when I leave the company, that personal guarantor is still there, personal guarantee is still there, and when they fail to pay, they come after me. That's what happened. In other cases, though, just by being the CEO and saying the company will pay, I say I'm responsible for the company paying, they can still come back around to you. And so anyway, Michael got off lucky with only a couple $1,000s. Mine wasn't so lucky. The amount of money that I had coming after me directly asking me to pay was nearly $500,000, and then but in total it was around $1 million of liability on things that I had signed. So next time, nobody ever plans to get divorced or anything, but next time that there's any issue where I would be leaving a company, that is something to have to be evaluated. What did I sign? All of these have to be turned over. And so a condition for transfer of the company would be that those contracts would need to be renegotiated and re-signed by new people. That is the key. And I didn't do that. I didn't know I needed to do that. One of those things where, I just thought I was doing the right thing, but didn't work out that way. Anyway, Michael, glad you only got off with a couple $1,000s being owed. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, questions you'd like answered on video, send me a message here on YouTube, and I do check them, and I'd be happy to record a video reply if it looks like a subject that a lot of people would be interested in. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.